So for a quick recap, this is the Ethiopian contract K98 I purchased, World Tiger Imports. I did get the crack stock option, and it's the only crack I could see, which should be repairable. It's a DOT 1945. So overall it's in reasonably good shape. It does have a milled trigger guard on it as opposed to the post-war stamped trigger guard. It does have a pretty, looks like decent looking medallion on it. And overall looks like it's in pretty good shape. It does look like it has a pretty good bore as well. So go ahead and break this down. Alright, so I got the rifle broken down. Definitely looks like some marring and some delamination going on, but nothing serious. Butt plate looks like it's in good shape inside. The bolt was basically covered with grease and looks like some rust forming. So to get that cleaned out really well. Bolt was pretty tight, so hopefully that'll help clean it out. The receiver and barrel looks pretty good. Just dirty. Looks like an NA stamp there. Doubt it stands for not applicable. See the barrel's in pretty good shape. Does have a lot of its original finish. Does have a little bit of pitting here, looks like, but that could just be a bunch of grease. I'll know more when I clean it out. Taking off the extractor, some of these other parts. Want to clean it out really well. See the stock looks a little dry here, so some linseed oil will be good for that. Use that trigger guard. Looks like it was designed for a G98 because it has a little hole right here, but overall looks like it's in pretty good shape. Top handguard's in good shape, doesn't have any cracks inside of it. Well, it looks like just a minor one here up front, but nothing major. So it does look like that crack runs through here and here as well. So I have to repair that. But most importantly, there's no cracks here where the recoil lug is, so that's good. And that's just a hairline crack, doesn't go all the way through. Could just be delamination. So go ahead and get these parts cleaned up. I'll boil and card a lot of these smaller parts, and I'll clean off the stock and I'll show you how it looks. So got this rifle cleaned up, take a closer look at all the parts. You can see a lot of the finish looks pretty good on most of these parts. There's a lot of remaining bluing left, especially on the receiver. Bolt looks pretty good as well. On the rear here you can kind of barely make it out. You can see that there's a wartime German marking. The carding did help a bit with the parts. It does look like this could be a trigger guard off of one of the 1934 contract rifles. It was sent over to Ethiopia. I was seeing that some of those offerings had similar markings on the website. And you can see a lot of wear on the finish on the front and rear band. The carding didn't really do too much for that. Did a little bit though. You can see the nose cap here with the bayonet lug and the follower. Did put some more linseed oil on the stock. It's turning out pretty nicely. Cleaned up the medallion here a little bit to bring it out. I will be putting some epoxy here. I may have to additionally put like a recoil lug or something behind this if it continues to be an issue. I do see that on a lot of the Yugoslavian restored stocks. They put like a recoil lug here, basically one of these back here to help with the recoil, especially when the stock is cracked. You can see the rest of the stock's in pretty good shape, so it's definitely a salvageable stock. There's just a little chunk taken out of it, but it's not a big deal. Starting with the buttstock, you can see the butt plates on there. And aside from some dents and scratches and a few dings, it's in pretty good shape. Cleaned up pretty nicely with some linseed oil. Trigger guards in the white, the boiling and carding didn't really do much for it. Did work out pretty well though for the receiver and the bolt. Put some chalk on some of the markings. You can see the DOT in 1945 are pretty well pronounced. Moving down the rifle, you can see the wood's in pretty good shape as well. And aside from the barrel bands there, some decent amount of finish left. Gonna turn it over. The other side of the butt looks good. And the serial number and lion inspection marks that the checks put on there look pretty good. You can see that it still says model 98 there. There's a bunch of rust scale here I was able to get off with a brass brush. You can see overall some decent amount of finish here remaining, though it did get a bit more worn on this side. You also see some pitting here, so it's possible this side could have got some moisture on it. The stock wasn't drilled for a cleaning rod, so I'll be able to put one in there. But overall, the finish is pretty decent for a B grade. Also noticed the follower was either ground down here or modified. As you can see, it's not held open when the magazine's empty, like a K98 should. So it has a pretty good bore. If you're thinking about getting one of these B grades, they're a pretty good deal. If they do post these B grade Ethiopian contracts again, I'd definitely get one, even if you get one with the cracked stock. They do fit wartime German stocks. However, I believe I covered another video. The receivers are a little rough cut, so you may have to fit them into the original German stocks. So take a bit of work there. Otherwise, they're pretty inexpensive considering the price of K98s right now on the market. So if you're thinking about getting one, I'd grab one. And for a B grade, I mean, it has a really good bore and really just sort of cosmetic issues with the finish. So I plan to do the stock repair at some point in the future. In the meantime, I'm clearing this off my workbench for some upcoming projects. I do have some other videos that will be coming out, so if you're interested in seeing those, feel free to subscribe and sign up for alerts. If you have any questions about this rifle or the process I use to clean it up, feel free to comment that below. And as always, thank you for watching.